Hey everybody, Alex Kazora, SteelersDepot.com, back at it with another Pittsburgh Steelers tape breakdown and analysis. Pittsburgh Steelers run game has been among the league's most effective through the first 3 weeks. They've had a 100-yard rusher in every single week the first three games of the season. Only the second time in franchise history that's happened. And one reason for that is a much better and more versatile run scheme, and specifically more versatile gap scheme. And a gap scheme, you have man blocking schemes and gap schemes or zone blocking schemes. In a zone blocking scheme, the offensive line is on a track. There isn't necessarily a designated man to pick up, and you're working who you're going to block based on what the defense presents. In a man or a gap scheme, you have more assigned targets, and the running back follows a lineman rather than just looking for the hole himself. So let's show you the Steelers gap scheme from Sunday against the Houston Texans and why that was so effective. For these examples, you'll have the backside guard pulling on these plays on the Steelers' power or gap runs. On this instance, it will be Matt Filer, the left guard, pulling. And basically, to the backside of the run scheme, you'll have the backside guard pulling, and to the front side, you're going to get a lot of down blocks. So you're going to get down blocks here and here and here. And so the guard's going to wrap around and then either kick out or log the end man on the line of scrimmage, depending on what he does. So let me go ahead and roll this thing through. And this came early in the game against Houston in the first quarter. James Conner with a 12-yard run, and you'll see the down blocks here. And kudos to Eric Ebron and a little bit of Vance here on this down block on J.J. Watt. Certainly a tough matchup, but when Ebron's allowed to use leverage and angles to his advantage, he's able to make this block here on J.J. So you're going to get down blocks all to the front side of this with Byler wrapping around, pulling across to kick out the DB, which of course is a matchup victory for the Steelers offense to get a guard on a defensive back. And Connor has daylight running off the inside hip of Matt Fowler on the kickout block and gets a 12-yard gain. One last look at it, and we will move on to the next play. Second quarter, James Conner on a 7-yard run. This time you'll have the backside guard Matt Filer and Vance McDonald coming across. So both men will be pulling here. And what I really like on this play is the example of James Conner having a really strong track with Vance McDonald and his lead blockers, Filer and Vance. And you want to be on that same path and same track as your blockers. You don't want to be too far in front of them because then the block's not effective. You don't want to be too far behind them either. Otherwise, the block's not going to be effective. So a really good relationship here from James Conner, and we'll go ahead and break this one down kind of frame by frame. Again, the guard pulling, tight end pulling, Vance coming across, and Connor staying behind, staying right on this track. A really good relationship there. The defense ultimately over pursues, creates a cutback lane for Connor, does a nice job to elude the tackler, and then gets 7 yards with a decent finish to this run. But again, front side, down blocks, back side, you're going to get the pullers. See a core for DeCastro blocking down the front side. First color, Filer's going to take, Vance is going to take the second color. He sees the second defender that he sees, and Connor with a good read to cut this one back and pick up a healthy gain of 7 yards. One last look, and again, we will move on to the third example. As I mentioned at the start of the video, the importance for this gap scheme is that it's versatile. In the past, and we'll see it here an example of David DeCastro pulling, but usually in the past, Foster did it a little bit, but DeCastro was always the guy pulling. If they ever ran this gap scheme, it was always DeCastro pulling right to left. But now you're seeing examples of Filer able to do it left to right to really make you more of an even-handed rushing attack. Now, this example is DeCastro, very classic, pulling front side down blocks again. DeCastro, Vance coming across as well. Connor follows behind, gets the edge, and picks up a nice gain right here. So again, ability to do this left side or right side makes you a more versatile run game, more unpredictable, and just gives you some better options. And if hypothetically, obviously this team missed David DeCastro the first two games of the year, if he was out again, and you couldn't pull it all potentially if you didn't feel like you could do that with Dotson or whoever the backup was. But now that you have a Matt Filer, you feel comfortable being able to pull either left or right. It probably makes you better from a tendency standpoint, not as predictable in what terms of what direction you're going to go when teams are scouting you, when you're self scouting yourself. And so again, same tenets of this play: front side down blocks, backside pull. They're going to take first, second color. Connor's going to run behind, make a decision based off the blocks and how they're set up, and it's a really positive play. This is James Conner's 12-yard score that put the Steelers on top of Houston for a good 28-21. And again, of course, it was a Steelers gap and power run. And what I want to show you here is left guard Matt Filer, who'll be pulling on this play. Usually on this block, you're going to get a kick out where the end man is wider And so the guard just going to run into him and just kick him out and keep him wide, and the back's going to come off the inside hip, like we showed you in a couple examples earlier. Here, though, with the end man number 54 being in tighter, you're going to do what's called a log block. And I think the next example we'll show you is a little cleaner and more teach tape look at it. But when this guy stays tight, instead of trying to kick him out wide when he's tight, you're going to come across him, get your head across, and then turn him back to the inside. And then Connor's going to run off the outside hip instead of the inside hip. So kind of a log block here. Again, not the cleanest example, but Fowler does a good job getting his head across, keeping that guy inside, and the back's going to run to the outside hip instead. Good downfield block by Juju, just getting in the way enough, and then Connor finishes it in the end zone for the 12-yard touchdown. So a little different wrinkle to it. Again, that kick out block, that pulling guard, it's not always going to be the same block. He's going to be basing his block based off what the defense does. If they stay wide, it's a kick out. If they come inside and spike inside, try to wrong arm you, for example, you're going to log that to the inside. So really nice play here. Good adjustment. Offensive line and the block and the running back path working together. That's critical. And it turns into a touchdown and Steelers 28-21 lead. Steelers' run game in particular has been effective in the 4 minute offense, the ability to close out games. You saw that all 3 weeks of the season, including especially Sunday against Houston, how ball control Pittsburgh's offense was in the fourth quarter. And this will be a 25-yard run by Connor with the Castro pulling right to left, McDonald coming behind, and a little better example of the log block from the Castro, where the end man, the first color, is going to stay inside, so the Castro will log him and seal him to the inside. McDonald has second color, kicks him outside, and Connor's going to split the difference with the seal to the inside, the seal to the outside, and the alley, the old seal here, seal there, alley there kind of mantra you hear about on football Sundays. So one more time again, front side going to down block, and you get the pull on the backside. And we'll pay attention to the casuals block here again because 55 here is spiking down with 20 scraping over the top. To Castro, instead of trying to kick him out, which is not going to work effectively here, we're just going to log him to the inside instead. And McDonald will kick out 20. I believe that safety Justin Reed. And Khan is going to just run behind. A lot of space there. 25-yard gain. Washington, a good job downfield by Washington too on that stock block. And that's one really underestimated, underappreciated key to having really explosive and successful runs in the run game is that downfield blocking by the receivers. Receiver blocking often determines whether you're going to have a good run, maybe 7 to 10 yards, or a great run of 20 yards plus. And so, nice job by Washington here, and it's a big run for the offense. Finally, let's look at how the Steelers' gap and power run game complements the pass game. Because if you can work this run scheme really effectively, let's figure out ways to make this impactful in the pass game as well. That's what a good offensive coordinator, that's what a good game plan has. This actually comes on the second snap of the game. So, kind of dispels the notion of you have to set up the run first to be effective with play action and stuff like that. It's all about being able just to sell run to a defense, giving them run keys to get them to come downhill, and then you throw behind them, regardless of how effective your run offense is throughout the season or during that game. So this is a Steelers RPO, and again, they're going to fake. It's an RPO, so it's not a fake, but Ben's going to be reading here. The Castro's going to pull right to left. It's going to influence the linebackers. You see 55 McKinney, 41 Cunningham getting downhill because you're getting this run read, lower hat, the Castro pulling, and now Ben has a choice to throw the football if he wants, and has Eric Ebron wide open here. Unfortunately, Ben's throw's not very good. It's behind. Ebron can't catch it. I'll show it from the aerial view of it because it's wide open. But you see that complementary schemes of your power run game now coupled with RPOs. And because you get that pull key from the guard, the linebackers are really biting hard on that. You'll see that really clear from the top down view how hard they're biting on this because they think it's run because it potentially could be one. It's an RPO. That's a run pass option. But now you have Ebron wide open behind those linebackers because they get suckered in by that run look and run action in the low hat read. And it should have been a big play over the middle for the Pittsburgh Steelers, an easy first down. Unfortunately, it was not. That's on Ben. He double clutched it. He wanted to go to Deontay first on the slant. The overhang defender here stayed on the slant, so he had to pull it back down and just didn't get a good grip, I guess, and did not make an accurate throw over the middle to Ebron. But I like that extra element. Let's start pairing the pass game with that power scheme, no false key in non-RPO situations too, on some play action plays that I've seen in the past. So a lot of ways you can influence a team with some of these guards pulling. It's a very quick run key, and if you get a really fast flow, aggressive run stopping defense, you can really make them pay. So one last look at it again. You get the pulling guard action, linebackers come down on that, vacates the middle of the field, and it should have been a big play. So overall, Steelers, gap run schemes have been a staple of their offense for decades, whether you want to talk about Moon Mullins, to Faneca, to DeCastro, and whoever future Steelers are going to be, it'll probably be a big part of the Steelers run scheme, but really effective, especially Sunday against the Texans, more versatile with Filer and DeCastro, and I think this run game is going to be pretty strong. Not always as strong as it was, the Sunday or the first few weeks of the season. You'll have ebbs and flows to it, of course. Circumstance will dictate things, how often, how effectively you can run the football. But really excited with that element of the Steelers' run game. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and we will talk to you soon.